think it's interesting. You're talking about pivoting. So I mean, like, the perception of an overnight success is it's sometimes for some people it becomes a reality and it becomes fuel for them to want to become like that person.
Mhm.
So listening to you speak, I mean, obviously you went from one discipline to another discipline. How long did that transition take for it to happen?
With me, it wasn't that long because there was cross connection with the idea of history, English publishing. I mean, I had been published before when in history. I had articles published in the Journal Historian. So I knew kind of what that world looked like. And I had been connected enough with academia, with higher level academia, that I knew what the publishing system looked like. So for me, it wasn't as difficult to learn the crossover, but it still takes time. I mean, it's a lot of people ask me, well, you get this job, you work from home, you do this. I mean, how can I do that? How can I do it overnight? Is what many people ask, especially when the 2020 occurred. Like, well, you can't. Sometimes you'll get lucky and you'll have something that pivots really quickly. With me, it took me about a year. I mean, if you want to really get to become someone that was just learning sales and gaining the confidence in it, to someone who is able to talk to five or six, 9, 10 figure CEOs a day and without any problem, and sell them books. And it took about a year in that situation, but for others it might take longer. And the it sounds cliche, but the answer to that is you just got to put the work in.
Hmm.
You have to learn it. There's learning, researching what you're doing and learning everything about it, and just spending your time. You might spend 4 or 5 hours a day doing just absolute direct work in front of your clients or in front of whatever you're doing, but then you're going to need to put at least that amount of time into learning everything else when you're done with that, so or more. And that, I think, is the key to being able to move and pivot into that direction. I think anybody can learn anything if they are open minded enough and assert themselves. I mean, as a former educator, I would say that. But yeah.
Nice, nice. I mean, I'm listening to you, and again, like I'm putting everything you're saying in pictures in my mind. And when I see you as a kid, and I'm trying to like imagine like what your parents were like, right? And what I see, and again, you're gonna tell us, right? But what I see personally
Yeah.
is that one parent probably was an educator of higher education, and the other parent probably was into some business or some kind of strategy or some kind of entrepreneur. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
You are half right. My dad was a heck of a salesperson, and he ran a couple of companies that were his own. At the end of his career before he retired, yeah, he was the head of sales for a major food wholesale distribution company, 11th largest in the United States. So I learned all of my sales stuff from him. I mean, that was it. I grew up watching him just work his magic with people, and learning that a lot of sales is just about being able to connect with who's across from the table from you, and that a lot of it is just, again, it's finding their pain and finding out the ways in which you can come up with the absolute best solution for it, and just being able to connect with them in the meantime. You've got to have some charisma. You have to be able to just look them in the eye and be able to have a conversation with them. And so that was it. Yeah, absolutely. My father was a very accomplished businessman. My mother would have been the educator. She was not. She basically was the this was the 80s, so the homemaker was still a thing, and that was what she did for most of that. But yeah, she was absolutely the 100% the liberal arts. Very much the she was more English and literature, which rubbed off on me. But yeah, 100% she encouraged that, and of course my pursuits that would be called nerdy. Yeah, she was absolutely a gigantic science fiction fan. I was in Star Wars in 1977. I was the kid that was making noise, the little baby that nobody wants there. So yes, they absolutely were very much contributed to the sauce that made me.